So I view this as Disney and Marvel admitting defeat. Disney's Bob Iger says they're going to reduce Marvel output, but also some really dumb stuff as well. So says about sequels and original films. So this is absolutely admitting defeat. If what you're doing is successful, you're not going to keep, you're not going to change anything. You're going to keep doing it. So it's not successful. He knows it's not successful. So basically, he said that he's going to put out 2 good films a year, maybe 3. In terms of Marvel, and also cut down to 2 TV shows a year as well, which that's still too many for TV shows. And he also said that he called the output was a vestige of basically a desire in the past to increase volume. We're stemmed from a desire in the past to increase volume. We're slowly going to decrease volume. But then really stupidly went on to say he's working hard with the studio to reduce output, focus more on quality than overall, and that he overall feels great about blah blah blah. But also said Disney's going to more broadly going to balance sequels with originals, but also defended sequels. Says there's a lot of value in sequels. Sorry, mate, didn't you go on record last year? Or even this year, I think it was, and say how they're not going to do as many sequels? What are you talking about, dunce? And he said because the properties are known and require less effort in terms of marketing. Well, it didn't work for the Marvels, did it? Dumbass. And it also didn't work for Ant-Man 3, did it? Dumbass. No. So what is he talking about? This is a complete 180 on what he said before.
I think they're going to have to come to grips with the fact that they've destroyed their IP. I think that's really the bigger argument there. The sequel or no sequel. I mean, the fact that Guardians didn't make $1 billion, in fact, it may not have actually made money. I think Tom and I and others have been talking about that. That it's possible after we get the final numbers on Guardians 3, it didn't actually make a whole lot of money, if any at all. That's going to be worrying. But you're right. I mean, he's an idiot. And here's the problem. He's waffling all the time now on, well, we're going to go away from sequels. No, we're going to do more sequels. Back and forth. He doesn't have a plan. They don't have a plan. They don't have a viable direction to take any of the stuff that they have now. And they can go quote unquote mine Fox. But with the current creative and the direction that they have, all they're going to do is devalue that. So yeah, make Frozen 5, make Toy Story 11. You're losing that audience, right?
There's another thing he said. Sorry, just because I was in a momentarily quiet place there. There's another thing that he said there, which I think is very, very telling. He said there was a desire to increase quantity. Note the wording of that, as if there was someone above him who made him do that, because there was a desire. Whose desire was that? Which boss do you have, Bob Iger, who made you do that? It wasn't the board, because you control them. It was you, Bob Iger. That was your decision. All the stuff that he's been trying to blame JPEG for, that, we put out too many things under JPEG. He just pumped the gas. Like that idiot John Campea keeps on parroting as well. No, that was a Bob Iger decision. And the big problem here isn't that it was too many stuff. It was too much shit stuff. Every single one of their projects was shit. And if you had removed half of the projects, that wouldn't have done anything, because the remaining ones would still have been shit, because nothing would have saved them. She-Hulk wouldn't have been better if they had not done another thing. The Marvels wouldn't have been better if they hadn't done Quantumania. Quantumania wouldn't have been any better if they hadn't done the Marvels. All of these projects are fundamentally flawed because they don't have the brain trust there anymore that made these things good. And Kevin Feige was a small part of it, but really just a small guiding part of it, and no more than that. He alone can't do it. That's the problem, not the output. And this is why nothing is changing, because it's still the same shit projects that Kevin Feige wanted to do years ago those are the ones that they're still proceeding with. I mean,
What?
Thunderbolts,
Well, yeah.
it's a wrong team. It's never going to work. For instance, same with Captain America 4. It's never going to work. It doesn't matter if you cut some other projects, those won't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is funny. What you say is completely right. Like, it doesn't matter when they would have put those out. So say if all of those films that they put out the last few years was spread out across 4 years. Same films spread out across 4 years. Doesn't make a bloody bit of difference, does it? The films, they still put them out. They're still garbage. This whole thing of, well, too much. What are you talking about? Increasing.
It's just an
quantity.
excuse.
It doesn't matter. It's quite literally just the fact that you made utter garbage for years. It doesn't matter if, all that would have happened if you'd spread them out more, people would have, people probably wouldn't have gone even more, to be fair. You probably would have had a bigger drop-off. Because by the time it comes around, people would have gone, oh, God, not another one of these, Anyway. Yeah, funny. Which does actually take me off to another little interview I saw, which is now what Kevin Feige is trying to go and say. So for Marvel boss Kevin Feige, he's seeing the positive side of the MCU being on the back foot. They're trying to now claim that Marvel is the underdog. It's nice to be able to rally behind one feature project this year, he tells Empire. I'm much more comfortable being the underdog. I prefer being able to surprise and exceed expectations. So it does seem like the last year, which has not been ideal, has set us up well for that.
In what world is he the underdog? He's now the waning champion, is more like it.
Yeah, but this is the marketing. This is what they're going to push, I reckon. Oh, we're the
Not
underdog.
reigning, waning.
Tom is, of course, entirely right. Someone who has been champion will never be an underdog again. He's just going to be a has-been.
Yeah.
Trying to recapture his glory days. He'll never be an underdog. An underdog, that's what you are when you start out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just thought that was really funny. I bet you anything in the coming weeks, coming months, this will be the line of dialogue we get from them all the time. Marvel's the underdog. We're coming back. I bet you that's going to be the choice word that they keep saying. What do you reckon?
Oh, for sure. This is straight from Disney marketing.
Okay, let's do this. We gave Feige far too much credit for what he did managing all these projects. That's really all he was. He was a glorified manager, right? Maybe he had some influence over the stories that were picked. Maybe he was following the blueprint that Gunn laid out, as Tom has described many, many times. He doesn't have anything to do with Deadpool and Wolverine. That's all Ryan Reynolds and his team.
Yeah.
That's why it's
Actually, he was against it. He was trying to prevent Hugh Jackman from coming back.
Right. No, I know. Exactly. I think you guys did a video about it, but this is us giving too much credit to him taking too much credit, and us finally realizing that the only way that Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine, it will end up being passable, good, decent, whatever adjective you want to throw at it, is because he's not involved. It's because he had no say. It's because he didn't pick out the story.
Well, there's some more marketing stuff here I want you guys to listen to. So Luis Despacito, who's co-president of Marvel Studios, says it's been a rough time, right? And he says if we stayed on top, that would have been the worst thing that could have happened to us. Sorry, what? If you stayed on top, that would have been the worst thing that could have happened to Marvel. Shut up.
I mean, that's straight out the Spinal Tap, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and he says, we took a little hit. We're coming back strong. Maybe when you do too much, you dilute yourself a little bit. No, mate. You didn't do too much. You did too much shit stuff. Yeah. We're not going to do that anymore. We learned our lesson. Maybe 2 to 3 films a year and 1 or 2 shows, as opposed to doing our films, 4 films and 4 shows. So there you go. It's just more. It's good that we're failing, is what they're trying to say. This is the marketing spin that they're doing.
Not only
Unbelievable.
that, they learned the way wrong lesson, because that's not the lesson to learn. I mean, this is just a marketing bullshit point that they seem to have believed in, that, oh, we just put out too much stuff. No, you're about to find out when you reduce output that that was never the issue.
Yeah. Yeah, release Thunderbolts. It's gonna
God, that-
bomb. No
it's
one's gonna care.
It's gonna
Release
flop.
Captain America, not Captain America. No one's gonna care.
That Thunderbolts thing is gonna flop so hard. I can't imagine an audience for that. Can you? Can you imagine an audience for that?
Oh,
Not
some
with that
MCU
team.
brown nose retards, maybe.
I can imagine that with the right Thunderbolts team, a Thunderbolts movie could have been very, very good. But they have the wrong team, because they are making a sequel to not Wonder Woman, but Black Widow, which was a shit movie that came out years too late. And now you are locked in with the leftover characters from that, plus a bunch of shitty Disney Plus series, and that's now the formation of a new team that, from as far as we can tell, have no real chemistry. They have nothing workable about them. None of these characters have clicked on their own. Not a single one. I don't care what you say about Red Guardian. He wasn't that good. He's not worthy of a movie of his own, or even a team movie. And now we're getting a team-up movie with these people, not a single one of which clicked. How is this going to work? Thunderbolts should have worked, but not this team.
Agree with that. Yeah, I mean, these sort of anti-hero films, like they can do well. These teams can do well, but no one wants a follow-up to this garbage, as you say. As you say.
I just,
Tom, you want to add to this? Tom's dead. Coach, you want to add to this?
yeah. So, look, we've seen a series of ads. Tom's back. We've seen a series of not. Every time I see an article on any of these sites, I'm thinking, okay, that's an ad for something. I don't think it's news anymore, but we've seen successive articles coming out of places like Fandom Wire and Giant Freaking Robot and all these other shilly sites, right? And they talk about, the Thunderbolts is going to buck the trend. It's gonna buck the trend of all these flops. And these articles date back all the way into the middle of 2023, when they were seeing just how many of their films were just flop. And the most recent one that I could find was published by Fandom Wire on April 5th, saying Sebastian Stan addresses recent box office flops in MCU, has high hopes from his next Marvel movie Thunderbolts. So they're going to keep pumping this out from all of these people saying exactly the same thing, just a few months apart from each other, or even a month apart from each other. They're so self-aware. They while they probably didn't appreciate that Deadline article came out telling you just how many flops Disney had in 2023, which we'd already been reporting on forever. But anyway, they were already aware that they were in big trouble. None of these things that are coming out are going to pivot the right way. Andre's 100% right. Not Captain America will not do well. Thunderbolts will not do well. I still think you have a Wolverine and Deadpool film that's going to be under $1 billion. I mean, time will tell. I don't mind being wrong on that one. I hope I am, because I hope it's good. But every other thing that they've promoted, pressed, publicized, pimped, propagandized, whatever P word you want to use, has been received very poorly. They have nothing that interests the audience anymore. They built up an incredible team. They didn't take time to develop a new one. They tried to shortcut all these characters into films through very middling at best television offerings. And, people got irritated with homework stuff. If you're so interconnected that you have to see each and everything, the audience is like, I'm enough. I'm tired of that. And if you want to lean into the idea that there's fatigue, it's franchise fatigue. It's not superhero fatigue. It's the fact that if you don't catch each and every one of the projects, you're going to end up being lost. Instead of making standalone things that might be interconnected for like big team up events, which again, they stopped being able to do. You know, you realize there were like something like 77 characters in Endgame.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Really?
I think so. Yeah, I would have to count all over
Wow.
again, and I think it's reinforced by some other videos out there, but
Wow.
it's bonker sauce.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
bonker
lot.
sauce.
That was a hell of a lot.
And I mean, look, I mean, you bring your A team to the game, that's good. You bring the B team to the game, that's completely different.
Mm,
You know, and
yeah.
again, I mean, we had A Force. How many chicks were on screen at one time?
That's it.
I mean, it's
And
nuts.
lest we forget that one scene with A-Force, that ruined Endgame.
It did. There was an audible groan from people around me, although I probably also audibly groaned. But just like, why are you ruining this epic moment?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a sign of
Yep.
things to come.
Well, it's certainly gone downhill ever since, hasn't it? So it's not exactly done particularly well moving forward. So there you go. I think we can oh, we've got Stumpy here. Says Iron Man showing signs of metal fatigue.